I would say in the concrete to the construction sector in general, I think the growth plans of most of their customers is moving beyond the South African borders. So it's more for them to realize that, and there are lots of these projects that are being built in South Africa too. It's not just everything is outside the South African borders. So you have our own Saldanha Bay, where there are projects that are coming up. You know, there is a port being privatized in the Eastern Cape. You could have a possibility of the Gautrain's extension that's going to happen. So there are a number of these other smaller projects that are happening within South Africa. So that's the step one. Then you got to say, okay, who are my customers? All right, and where are my customers going into? And surely for them to go into, they would need infrastructure. And there are a number of these infrastructure projects that we know are in various phases. So what can you do to actually get involved in some of these projects? That's very important. So it's, as much as you look at from here from a more of a dismal scenario, I think everywhere in the world there has been a cycle, people go through this, but I think the plan and the design, what you need to have in order to make sure that you follow your customers and you follow some of the strategies that you need to design to make sure that those growth pipeline and your opportunities that your business would need to grow your business is actually there. So in a nutshell, I would say wait till end of the elections. If you are a risk taker, I would say is to start thinking about these scenarios that could pan out. But my sincere opinion is the elections will turn out to be the way that we'd want it out to be. And I think the government, in an effort to improve the stimulus, local stimulus, they would start spending, which will be a good sign for a number of these private institutions to start spending. And everybody will tell you, I need to go to Nigeria. Yes, but what are the risks of doing business in Nigeria? I mean, that's something that you got to say, for your internal capabilities, you need to do an assessment. It's in conjunction with the external opportunities. And let's say, how does that match up? Those strengths that we have, will we be able to leverage? And who are the local partners we need to have? What kind of distribution channels we need to employ? What kind of supply chain support structures we need to have? What kind of financing that we're going to get out of this country? So what's the capital risk? These are some of those things that you would need to consider and say, I'm all for it. I've been to Nigeria and many of the African countries myself many times. I've seen the growth. I can see more countries having very successful partnerships with private firms. Government is big business. I very recently met one of my customers who has a very successful relationship with the Botswana government. So the governments are getting into these kind of relationships. And you need to know that these kind of relationships are the ones that is going to take you from point A to point B. So identifying a country, identifying those opportunities, doing your internal assessment, and then making sure that you understand the risks. I would imagine if you get to do that, Africa is definitely booming.